Annapurna in Nepal is the 10th highest mountain in the world, and one of the most famous mountains on this list. Annapurna may be only the 10th highest mountain in the world, but it actually has a higher fatality rate than any other mountain on this list, with 32% of attempts to reach the top of the mountain resulting in a fatality. The 9th highest mountain in the world is Nanga Parbat, in the Dhaulagiri district of Pakistan's Gilgit-Baltistan region in the western Himalayas. Like many of the other mountains, the name comes from Sanskrit, with Nanga and Parvata meaning naked mountain. The Tibetan name for the mountain Dhaulagiri, meaning huge mountain, is maybe a bit more appropriate. Nanga Parbat truly towers over the surrounding, low-lying valleys around it in every direction. The stunning regal face on the mountain rises a full 4,600 meters above its base and is often called the highest mountain face in the world. Coming in at number 8 on the list of the all-time highest mountains is Manaslu. Manaslu can be found in the west-central part of Nepal, and has a summit that's situated 8,163 meters above sea level. Manaslu is the 8th highest mountain in the world. The name actually comes from the Sanskrit word manasa, which means intellect or soul. The first successful ascent of Manaslu occurred in 1956. When Japanese climber Toshio Imanishi and Nepalese Sherpa Jayazan Norbu made it to the summit. The mountain, the highest one in the Gorkha district, is a significant part of Japan's mountaineering history. The Dhaulagiri in Nepal is the 7th highest mountain in the world at 8,167 meters, and one of the most aesthetically stunning mountains of the lot. The Dhaulagiri was first climbed on May 13, 1960 but is perhaps best known for its visibility on the popular Annapurna circuit, with Annapurna I just 34 kilometers away and the Dhaulagiri a regular feature on the skyline while trekking Annapurna. The mountains are separated by the world's deepest gorge, the Kalagandaki Gorge, so it's not a part of the world that's particularly struggling for scenery. The fourth and final member of the Everest region's 8,000 meters club is Cho Oyu, the 6th highest mountain in the world at 8,188 meters. Cho Oyu is considered the easiest of the 8,000 meters mountains to climb due to the gentler slopes of the ascent. It's also just a few kilometers away from the Nanga Pass, a major trading route between the Tibetan and Khumbu Sherpas. Cho Oyu, which means turquoise goddess, stands on the Chinese-Nepalese border. The first ascent was accomplished by Austrians Joseph Jockler and Herbert Tichy, as well as Dalai Lama from Nepal, in 1954. Makalu is the third of the four 8,000 meters high mountains in the Everest Massif in Nepal. It was first summited by a French expedition led by Jean Franco in 1955. Their ascent was most notable for the fact that a full 10 members of the expedition team summited the mountain on the trip. In those days, it was normally only 1 or 2 climbers from each team who reached the top of the mountain on an expedition. The first 2 summited on May 15, 1955, then 4 more went up the next day, then 4 more went up the day after that. Lhotse is one of the more famous mountains on any list of the top 10 highest mountains in the world, largely because of its proximity to Mount Everest. The route up Lhotse is the same as that up Mount Everest from Everest Base Camp until you pass Camp 3 and then depart to the Rice Kulwar from the Lhotse face, from where the peak of Lhotse is reached. Lhotse is a little like the neglected younger sibling of Mount Everest. Everest gets all the attention while Lhotse, though often considered more visually attractive, is significantly less busy. While the main summit of Lhotse was first climbed in 1956, the Lhotse Middle actually remained the highest unclimbed, named point on Earth for decades. It was eventually first scaled in 2011 by a Russian expedition. Kangchenjunga is the third highest mountain in the world. It can be found between Nepal and Sikkim in India, with 3 of the peaks on the border and the other 2 in the Dhaulagiri district of Nepal. Kangchenjunga was actually thought to be the highest mountain in the world until 1852. This wasn't because people didn't know about Mount Everest, but because they had done their calculations wrong. After further homework by the Great Trigonometrical Survey of India, it was discovered that actually Kangchenjunga was the third highest mountain in the world. The second highest mountain in the world is K2. The mountain took its name from the notation used by the Great Trigonometrical Survey of British India. At the time, there wasn't an apparent local name for the mountain, and so it stuck. K2 is also nicknamed the Savage Mountain, which is cool in a slightly point break, over-the-top extreme kind of way. It is fitting, though, too. The mountain is typically considered one of the toughest mountains in the world to climb, notoriously harder than Mount Everest. K2 actually has the second highest fatality rate per summit attempt of all mountains over 8,000 meters, with around 300 successful summits and 77 deaths. The highest fatality rate is that of the 10th highest mountain in the world, spoiler alert, Annapurna I in Nepal. Unlike Annapurna though, K2 has never been summited in winter. As we've already said, and as you already knew, Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. Its peak is an eye-watering 8,848 meters above sea level, making it well over 8 times taller than the highest mountain in Wales, Snowdon, at 1,085 meters above sea level. Everest is situated on the border between Nepal and the autonomous region of Tibet. Officially speaking, the first successful Everest climbers were Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay in 1953. It is estimated that there is well over 200 dead bodies on Everest, all of them remarkably well preserved because of the extremely cold temperatures. Everest is part of the 7 summits. The 7 summits is a list made up of the highest mountain on each of the world's 7 continents. Climbing all 7 of the 7 summits is one of the ultimate achievements in the sport of mountaineering.